Greetings, I am Pillar Next as the Angel Gladiator today with Watch Me Play It Solo. This is Euphoria with the Ignorance is Bliss expansion with the Automa rules. So I'm playing it solo, so I'm setting it up for 3 players. It's possible to play with 2 players and then the Automa, so you would set up for 4 in that case. So basically same as regular Euphoria. Try to get out all 10 of your authority stars. After you take your turn, you'll resolve the Automa. The Automa has to be played by black and white. So you can play any other color you want for you, though. When the Automa takes their turn, there'll be a card that's already sitting out. And you'll flip the top card, and the stuff in the center is what will get resolved. Then on the next turn, that slides over and resolve stuff in the center here. The Automa starts with all 4 of their workers. They will never lose their workers, but it's entirely possible that some of their dice get locked up, which is what will happen if there's a market flipped up that they aren't part of the construction for. Also, we're playing with all the other Ignorance is Bliss stuff, so the new markets, the new recruits, the bazaar for artifacts. Let's see this good in a little bit more. The Automa factions will get their stars out as their allegiance track crosses into the flip recruits and the stars on recruits. You can get out 2 that way. Otherwise, they're trying to do as you're trying to do with the territories or contributing to the construction of the markets. The initial deck for Anima starts out with these green color coded cards. You can see on that corner there. And then other cards will get added in. More green, but also more of the new colors. They'll add some difficulties. Black, white, and purple. So as we're going through the Automa deck, at some point we'll reach a point we'll need to reshuffle, and that's how the cards get added in. Yeah, part of setup, dice rolled. 1 card starts out as the support. Roll your own dice. Of course, start with your 3 knowledge and your 1 morale. Neat little boards, so you don't have to worry about the old track anymore. We'll start with recruits as usual. Because this is ignorance is bliss. If you pull factionless recruits, if you pull more than 1, you'll have to shuffle that in. If you choose a factionless recruit as one of the 2 you start with, it has to be face up. Anyway, so we'll get going on the first turn. What I'm trying to do as early as I can is resolve this ethical dilemma. To do that, I'm going to need to try to get the balloons before they disappear. So to that end, we'll place our 3 here, and we'll get the orange soon, and we'll make progress on the Wastelander track. And then we go with the Automa players. Worth noting, the Automa factions are going to be based on what factions you don't have if you're playing solo. At 2 human players, they it, they can't be bothered to kill it. But my active is going to be Icarite, and my secret one is going to be Wastelander, which is what I'm trying to build that up. All right. So, this is the support card, start of the game, and then the top card. So, it'll show commodity and this space, the faction. Automa will always send their lowest or their highest knowledge to wherever they're going to go, unless it is to their own commodity space, in which case they'll send their lowest. So in this instance, the Black Automa player will send their highest knowledge to the Wasteland farm. So if I send another person there, it's going to get me 2 food and a knowledge. And the White Automa will go to their specific uh, resource location or commodity spot. Except because it's their own, they send the low knowledge. Okay. So that was the Automa side. Back to me. I still have a 5. Going to go to the Wastelander tunnel, spend the food, move the miner, and either get a brick or an artifact. Like I said, I want to get my ethical dilemma going, so artifact. It's possible to take artifacts further down the line with the bazaar, but you have to pay commodities to do so. The Automa can also eliminate artifacts from the bazaar. Just playing with them. So there's my artifact. I can hold exactly one artifact because of my morale. Okay. And then we go back to the Automa player. So the old card slides over and we draw a new one. So here, Black will send their low knowledge to their own commodity space. And Euphoria, the Euphorians will send their low knowledge to their own space. Even with multiples of the same number, they'll still only send one. This is also where they clarify if you're going to deploy multiple of the same number, you have to spend morale to do so. So I need to retrieve my workers. I don't have food or bliss. I don't have morale anyway, so I just get them back for free. And reroll. Alright. 4 and a 2. Against my knowledge check, +3. Against 16, we're good. So the Automa gets their next turn. Alright. Alright, so the Black Automa gets their commodity. Now, when it shows this, we check if they have exactly 1 worker or 0. And if they do, then they'll have to retrieve workers instead. If this symbol is showing when they're retrieving workers, they leave behind their highest knowledge somewhere, wherever it is. I believe there's an exception to it as well. They also leave behind anyone that's occupying the construction sites. So the White Automa player is either going to go to Sky Lounge or go to their tunnel. If it's showing this and their faction is their Icarite, then they're going to go to the Sky Lounge. If it shows this and it shows their own faction, then it goes to the tunnel instead. So, Euphorian Tunnel gets occupied, moves forward. It doesn't affect anything on the Allegiance track. And they don't take any artifacts or items. So it comes back to me. What I'm going to do is go ahead and pull off the ethical dilemma card and help a friend escape with balloons. So it's discarded. I'm going to draw two recruits and keep one. After the start of the game, if you draw a factionless card, factionless recruit, it's discarded. You only have one chance to get factionless recruits, and it's at the start of the game. Okay. So I already have a Nicorite, I already have a Wastelander. It looks like I can get the Wasteland built up a little bit quicker. We're going to go with George the Lazy Craftsman. So when he while he's active, he'll place stars on a territory with no stars, or I have no stars. The worker comes back, and I get resource. So as soon as I can activate, whether through this track or the other one, I'll have access to the Wastelanders I've been hiding. So that's been resolved. I feel like I've done the morally right thing by helping a friend escape. But then it goes back to the Automa, who are not concerned with ethical dilemmas when it comes to. All right. So new cards. They're going to continue to go to their commodities. Eventually, as the cards get added in, they're going to do more advanced stuff that'll speed up the pace of the game and bring it to an end that much faster. So they're going here, they're going here, and it's back to me. All right. So I really didn't think very far past this. So what can I do? I'm looking at eventually building up on the building up enough for the worker activation tank. But first, I'm going to need some resources somewhere. And of course, they've built most of these up that wherever I try to place is going to be a pain. I think what I'm going to do is we'll join the generator team and we'll get energy and reduce our knowledge. And then it goes back to the Automa. Now, we have we have that coming up, which means the artifact in this location gets discarded and everything slides down. Now they both lack workers, so the only things they're doing this turn is retrieving them. So lack of survival, a lot of high numbers. Now if there's any building out, any market built that they didn't get to participate in, uh, the sixes would go to the card. All right. So they're prepared to place workers again. All right. So back to me. Could really use more energy. But I also want to take advantage of the fact that there's that we can work on the farm, which will also advance the Wastelander track, which now opens up additional food generation. So it has been a little while, so let me remember how these allegiance ones will help out. Gain one extra of the same commodity when using the faction's commodity area. Okay. Very helpful, quick reference sheet. It's always appreciated. Always love when a game includes a reference sheet to just help. All right. So then it goes back to the Automa. Get very close to running out of cards for them. Okay. So black will send their lowest to their own. And white will send to their own tunnel. Again, this would have had to be Icarite, or their faction would have to be Icarite for them to go to the breeze bar. So their highest to their own tunnel, which is Euphorians. So push it forward. Okay. If they hit that point, then they're getting their authority. All right, back to me. I am gonna go ahead and spend the food to get the morale bump. Oh, I've got something to work with later for artifacts or any other effects needed. All right, ah, supposed to be one. And then last shot from the Automa before they reshuffle. I'll demonstrate that too. Black to their own commodity. Lowest white to the Icarite commodity, so they send their highest. All right. And because the tent was showing if they had retrieved, they would have left behind their highest knowledge. So back to me. Let's see here. If I can work on the energy, would help get workers. Problem is, doing either of these carries that risk of helping them out. So what I think I want to do is just throw caution to the wind and go get the extra water, and then we'll take the knowledge. It's all right. We'll build up the water to build up the water activation, worker activation. Okay, so here's what happens when we run through the cards. We take the all but the last card will be needed for the support. We'll shuffle in one of the add-in stacks, and then continue on as usual. As more advanced stuff comes into play in terms of moving to constructed markets and artifacts, they'll have a specific flow chart of here's what gets prioritized. Again, I always appreciate having those little reference bits to help with keeping up with stuff. All right, all right. Ooh, so we have an interesting little setup here. The black Automa is going to go to a construction site of its type. How is it going to prioritize this? So if there's a market already under construction, there's not. In a constructed market, there's more than one. Penalizing markets, Nothing's up. Okay. So choosing between the two construction sites says bottommost construction space. So what is this going to prioritize here? Okay. On the bottommost location of the board, which would be, since this is the bottommost location of the board, it goes there. And then the white Automa will go to its own, will go to the Wastelander's tunnel. Which will push them forward. All right. So things are starting to get under pressure here. I think what I want to do is have Bliss. Use Bliss and another resource and start getting materials this way. So we'll get that. We'll lose knowledge, and that's available to us. And now it goes back to Automa. Now to see. Okay, here's where it gets interesting. So, Black will go to its own commodity space. Because the white Automa has this action and exactly one worker left, they will have to retrieve workers. However, because they have the little tent icon here, they will leave behind their highest knowledge. Now, the issue is they have two spots with the high knowledge. So how is that going to break? Of a non leave behind the highest knowledge worker on a commodity area of a non-Automa faction when retrieving workers. So this is not an Automa faction. So these are the two that get retrieved. Okay, makes sense. And it comes back to me. We'll take the morale hit and get my workers back. 3 and a 2. +2 is only 7. Alright. And now, for once, things are going to be kind of offbeat between black and white. So, black has no workers left, and nothing special here, so they retrieve everybody. And they reroll. Oh, yeah. The opponents were supposed to reroll when they retrieved as well. Alright. And then whites for Euphorian, the tunnel. So the occupy, push forward. One more step and they get a authority star. Alright. Yeah. Alright. Starting to feel the pressure of I need to get started somewhere. Ooh. When, where is it? Yeah, it's black earlier. They were supposed to leave this here. Dice are supposed to be left on the construction areas until they're built. And because we're playing with 3 players, it only takes 2 to build it. So it comes back to me. I need resources soon. sooner rather than later. So we're going to go ahead and throw our 3 onto the Sky Lounge. Spend the Bliss and the energy and get, let's see here, get a brick and a stone. Actually, a brick just in case, and a gold. There we go. Back to the Automa. That slides over, and that's the new card. All right, another artifact bites the dust. Okay, black goes to their own commodity space, so they take their lowest. And white goes to the tunnel for Wastelanders. Setting their highest, pushing them forward. Okay. So far, seeing a lot of green cards in this second run, but I know it can't last. You know, one of the nice things about this is I'm actually playing on beginner, but I want to challenge the higher difficulties. That's after I've gotten a good grip on the way this runs. So it comes back to me, and I'm going to jump in on the construction here. So spend the clay. So that's the 2 that are necessary. So black gets a star, and I get a star on that building. We have the concert hall of harmonious discord. Players can't gain morale if you have 3 or more. So if you have 3 or more morale, then no one else can get it. But they don't care. So these will come back. The important thing is there is now a building that does not have a white star on it, which means the Euphoria penalty is now active. Now let's see if this will affect anything. Apparently not. All right. So eliminate an artifact in this location. Slide them down. Commodity for black and its own turf. Building for white in its own bottomless space of it. Okay. Okay. I still have my 1 die because it came back after helping to build that. What I'm going to do is help build this by spending the gold that I remembered to get ahead of time. So blue and white's efforts have created the Department of Bribe Regulation. All artifacts on the bazaar cost 1 extra, except the rightmost one, which is still free. So there's now a building up where black does not have a star, and now any 6s that end up rolled get locked. As part of retrieving workers, rolling dice, that has a 6, is now locked there until workers need to be retrieved again, which he'll probably be stuck doing for a turn. And then it comes back to me. So, what is my plan from here? Honestly, not 100% sure. Just been kind of winging it. I think Now's a good time I need to try to push for a third worker. So that puts it to five, less knowledge. One more water. And then after I retrieve my workers, or I get bumped off of here, I'm going to try to go for that extra worker and see if I can use it to my advantage to beat the machine of Automa. Overall long term plan is I need to get the Wastelanders active and to the end of their allegiance track because that's going to be 2 points right there. And then I just need to make sure that I help with whatever other buildings get constructed to get my foot in those doors or start getting into the territories. And let's see if I can beat this game on beginner difficulty because I've had Ignorance is Bliss for a while now, and I'm just now getting around to messing with the solo mode. So I will let you know how this ends tomorrow morning when I come back to it. But yeah, Euphoria, Ignorance is Bliss, Automa. It's going to be an interesting journey to see how things turn out and how the challenge plays out. It's definitely it's definitely going to be a puzzle to deal with. So here's hoping I can figure. Here's hoping I can find a solution to beating the Automa and taking on the harder difficulties. So thank you for watching me play it solo, and we'll see you with the next game. Thanks for watching.